Welcome to battle number 2 of week number 5 of the FNFC Miles Draft League. I'm your host Blind Hunt, and I'll be commentating this live match between Reich of the Refrigerated Kingdras versus Teal Platypus of the Aero. Before we continue, let's review the Mega and Z Pokemon making an appearance tonight. So in Reich's corner we have Mega Charizard Y as well as Z NE Tapu Koko. In Teal Platypus' corner we have Mega Venusaur and Z NE Espeon making an appearance. So before we go ahead and begin, let's go ahead and review just some quick initial thoughts. Actually, looking at both teams, I kind of feel we have some really, it looks like a nice balanced team with leaning a little bit more towards offense with Reich, and maybe a little bit more bulky, tanky balanced by looking at Teal Platypus. So on Reich's side, we have some really nice special attackers as well as pivots with the electric Pokemon in Raichu Alola and Tapu Koko. Not to mention Mega Charizard Y can hit pretty hard with that drought. Those drought boosted fire moves can really punch holes in Teal Platypus' team. Maybe not so much with certain Pokemon, maybe perhaps like Espeon or Nihilego, or depending on investment. But either way, nobody wants to take a drought-boosted fire move. We also have Milotic and Bronzong kind of serving as somewhat decent walls, especially if Milotic having access to Recover can really stand for the long haul. And not to mention Donphan's really good rapid spinner, as well as can really dish out Earthquake. Looking at Teal Platypus' team, I don't think anybody can particularly avoid a ground move, depending on items or anything like that. And looking over at Teal Platypus' team, I see a little bit more bulk overall, especially looking at Spiritomb, Mega Venusaur, and Nihilego. All of them can function pretty well as like either walls or tanks, and can definitely serve as harassment. For example, Spiritomb might have Will-O-Wisp, which could at least sort of halt Donphan's progress towards like the later part of the game. You also have Sandaconda, who's pretty slow, but can also dish out a lot of good damage on the physical side. That's something that the electric Pokemon may have to watch out for. And not to mention Nihilego, just again, really good special attacker, special wall. And of course, Espeon, potentially serving as a cleric, but also can function as a Laking Sweep with a Calm Mind set. So I'm just really curious to see how these two, at least in my opinion, evenly matched teams are going to go. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let our opponents begin. Probably some probable leads probably be one of the electric types for Reich, just for an easy volt switch, and potentially Sandaconda or maybe Spiritomb to get some early hits or harassment. Ooh, and instead we have Vindaloo, the Mega Charizard, not yet Mega, and Snakes Are Not Bad, the Sandaconda. I love that nickname. Snakes are indeed not bad. Like most animals, they will only really attack when they are frightened or antagonized. And in fact, most snake bites actually end up happening, at least in America, because people try to pick them up and try to deal with them themselves, or try to show off to their friends, and, well, you know how that goes. Snakes are actually a lot softer than you'd think, given the scales, but anyway, I'm getting beside myself. What will our players do? Snakes Are Not Bad could go for an early Rock Slide. Could really take out Vindaloo. One of the new calculations are, Tajine the Bronzong comes out, and it looks like both sides have switched out. Egoist the Nihilego comes out as well. I wonder if we're going to see a Stealth Rock setup. players trying to calculate who can do the most damage to each other. After all, the dual typing gets both Pokemon sort of like a one hit on the other. Well, Nightligo probably has Earthquake, even though it's not going to be stab boosted. Can still do some massive damage. Unless, of course, Tajina has Levitate, in which case it'll be probably the only Pokemon other than Charizard that would be immune to ground moves. And out comes Rock Heavy, the Spiritomb, and Tamale the Tapu Koko setting up Electric Surge. Or sorry, Electric Terrain. Looks like both players are very cautious as to who actually gets to lead and set up. Tamale's most likely going to go for a Volt Switch. Possibly sending out Donphan. Or perhaps Charizard for the Terrain and Drought setup. If Donphan comes out and Spiritomb has Foul Play, that could do some decent damage too. And instead, Snakes Are Not Bad comes out, takes the Nature's Madness from Tamale, and sets up a Sandstorm. Snakes Are Not Bad probably doesn't want to stay in much longer given 50% damage before. Now comes Unadon, the Milotic, allowing Snakes Are Not Bad to set up Stealth Rock. Unadon is holding a Flame Orb and takes that burn. Unadon's probably in a good position to go ahead and set up a Scald. The only Pokemon who can take that pretty easily would probably be Espeon, depending on the investment, or Spiritomb. A lot of us might want to switch out to one of those. Looks like some big brain calculations are going on behind the scenes. That or just Teal probably weighing his options, trying to figure out who can take these calls. And out comes Lady Venus the Venusaur, resisting this call very well due to the type advantage. And Sandstorm whittles away at both Pokemon. Lady Venus is in a very good position to go ahead and Mega Evolve. And depending on what move it uses. Ooh. Leech Seed misses, and Unadon uses a Mirror Coat. interesting choices on both sides. Now that Udonon's hand is revealed, Teal's going to have to constantly be wondering, is the next move going to be Miracle, or is it going to be something else? Teal Platypus in the chat comments that the Queen needs some glasses, given that Leech Seed did miss. Out comes Tamale, setting up electric terrain as Sandstorm subsides. Tamale, however, is now Leech Seed. Probably won't do too much good, as Tamale is in a very can always pretty much full switch. And ooh! Instead, Reinhardt decides to go for the Supersonic Sky Strike Z Crystal move. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And after that move, Sandspit activates, setting up the Sandstorm one more time, and Tamale's health is sapped by Leech Seed, getting Snakes Are Not Bad back up to 50% health. Not to mention, it did eat a Aqua Berries, helping the recovery a lot more. I was about to say, there's no way that Leech Seed could have healed Sanakana from the red all the way back to 50. Who Reich will go ahead and switch out to Male for, since Full Switch will not be able to work in this case. Or will try to stay and use maybe a Psychic move or some other special move hope they can get Sanakana whittled down. No, instead Villalu the Charizard comes out taking massive damage from the Stealth Rock, and a Stone Edge coming from Snakes Are Not Bad takes out Charizard before they even get a chance to evolve. Very nice prediction on Teal's part. The score is now 6-5. I wonder if this would be a good time for Reich to unveil a Donphan. The Stealth Rock. Well, ooh, Dulce de Leche de Raichu Alola comes out. Another really good nickname. Also one of my favorite desserts. To be fair, there's very few desserts that are not my favorite, but anyway. But what I was going to say was that Reich is probably going to want to eventually clear Stealth Rock, if not take out Sanakana as quickly as possible. Because while Charizard is down, and oh, never mind. Rock Heavy comes out. Rock Heavy, the Spiritomb, gets hit by a Grass Knot, whittling it down to about 55% after the Sandstorm damage. It's a pretty potent Grass Knot. Sucker Punch, or yeah, Sucker Punch from Spiritomb might be able to potentially finish off Dulce de Leche, if not whittle her down to almost nothing. Normally I would say in this matchup Anaconda would be good to go, but that Grass Knot will finish it off. Instead, Pursuit comes out. Very nice prediction. Takes Silent, goes to the edge, and the score is now 6-4. Just goes to show you how cautious these players are, how serious these players are taking each other given their caution. Record even comments, I keep making the wrong play on the 50-50s. Exactly, because Seafoam could have, like I said before, I was expecting a Sucker Punch. But there's Sucker Punch or Pursuit, either way would have done massive damage to Lowell and Raichu, depending on the opportunity presented. And Tamale, the Tapu Koko, takes Raichu's place. This will be very interesting. I'm sure Reich isn't going to make the same mistake as before with a Kerr move switching out again. But will it have an attack strong enough to take out Rock Heavy after considering that both Pokemon are in the yellow? While there are a lot of silent bouts, long turns, each turn, you can tell the amount of strategizing and, I guess, tactical considerations each player is doing, which does account for the, I guess, lag in between moves, but it makes total sense. And oh, out comes Egoist Denial Ego, and Tamale goes for the boost instead. Noob Scrub in the chat mentions that Seafoam has a lot of the traits that I look for when building stall teams, and why has it never looked into it before? Honestly, Noob Scrub, the same. I also tend to prefer defensive and stall-like teams. However, I did get lucky yesterday, as I was able to draft Seafoam into my team. This is for a victory run, of course, not for Seafoam Isles. Hopefully, Seafoam will be able to help me pull myself out of the current losing streak I'm in. But we'll see. We'll see. And out comes the Egoist, and of course here I am only talking about myself. And out comes Jolliffe the Dawn Fan, taking a Sludge Wave from Egoist. It's pretty strong, Sludge Wave. That's resisted and only took what, 39%? 40% damage? Absolutely scary. And out comes Queen of Turnips to Sabrina to go ahead and take what I was expecting an Earthquake, but instead Jolliffe tried to do a Protect. Interesting move. I was probably expecting to be outsped. Queen of Turnips is also a really nice name. I really enjoy that. Snakes are not bad, but she's up there, along with Lady Venus. Have we seen Espeon yet? No, we have not. I wonder if Reich's considering to switch out to Bronzong to take a potential Grass move from Queen of Turnips. Oh, we still don't know what cat it is. This is the first appearance. Ooh, out comes Power Whip. I wonder what Reinhardt was trying to do with Dawn Fan. Power Whip definitely, obviously finishes it off, and the score is now 6-3. Out comes Taijin and the Bronzong. sides are obviously weighing their options. I wonder if Teal's going to switch out to Spirit Tomb and try to finish off Tajine with some, or sorry, whittle down Tajine with some dark type moves. Or if he'll keep Queen of Turnips out and use her to chip away at Tajine. Tajine is pretty sturdy, obviously, and has really good timing with Steel Psychic. Oh, and out comes Lady Venus the Venusaur. Tajine uses Flash Cannon, doesn't do too much to Lady Venus. Assuming Lady Venus has... Well, Earthquake isn't going to really do much, but a Leech Seed is going to whittle it down over time. Tajine goes for the Calm Mind, which actually plays into Lady Venus, trying to wear her down. Bronzong. And there's no one that Reich can easily switch out to. That was a really good way to disrupt Reich's strategy. Since my Loptic doesn't want to be hit with a Grass move, and Tapu Koko does not want to be hit by Lady Venus's Earthquake. Have we seen Tajine's full moveset? No, we've not. But a Psychic, Extrasensory, Psyshock, any of those moves would do a lot of damage to Lady Venus after Calm Mind boost. And the only person who could really be immune to that attack would be Spirit Tomb. So I think both sides have a few options to go ahead and consider. I think overall going for the Psychic attack is probably a better idea. Unless, of course, Milotic has Toxic, in which case that could be a very risky switch-in. It all banks on hoping that Lady Venus also switches out. And of course, Teal Platypus could also be thinking the same thing. This is all very exciting, very very hard to maneuver. I'm very impressed by both sides so far playing this match. And I would also like to say, I'm sure I would be having a lot of fun if I was on either side. But I would also be terrified. Because right now Rykart is down to 3 Pokemon, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the fight's over. As a few of Teal Platypus' Pokemon are a bit whittled down, especially that Sandaconda. And I believe Tapu Koko has Energy Ball. Well, even if it doesn't, I mean... Any special... Excuse me. Sorry, any kind of special attacking move would do massive damage to Sandaconda, and out comes Rock Heavy, and Tajine goes for the second Calm Mind. It looks like Leftovers is cancelling out, to an extent, what Leech Seed is doing. And it all comes down to this, is Rock Heavy going to use Sucker Punch or Pursuit? The safest bet is probably to use Pursuit, since Tajine could easily just go for another Calm Mind and nullify Sucker Punch. Assuming, of course, that this Spirit Tomb even has Sucker Punch. Or not to mention, Rock Heavy could even have a Will-O-Wisp in it. Instead, it goes for the Sucker Punch. And its special defense is lowered. Receives about 14% health from that Leech Seed. My mistake was saying earlier that Leech Seed was going to be nullified by Leftovers. Tajine is not in a good position right here. Best bet is to probably just go for another attack. If it switches out, it's mostly going to be hit by the Pursuit. Ooh, a Shadow Sneak. Very interesting moveset on Rock Heavy. Teal probably figured that was Tajine's best move as well, to go for another attack, so the Shadow Sneak is more than enough to go ahead and finish that off. And out comes Tamale the Tapu Koko. Archetype goes for another Shadow Sneak. Interesting choice, as Tamale goes for Brave Bird. Gets a bit of recoil damage. The score is now 5-2. I'm assuming Tamale's next move is going to be a Roost, and then most likely a Switch Out. Now comes Della, the Espeon, making her first appearance of this match. Interesting choice as well. I wonder if we're going to see maybe a Shadow Ball? Oh wait, sorry, my apologies. I thought Tapu Koko was a part Psychic type. I was confusing Tamale with Alolan Raichu. Still though, interesting choice. I wonder if Della has maybe like a Toxic or something? Because Tamale is in a really good position to just go ahead and Roost. And perhaps another Brave Bird, and no, instead out comes Unadon the Milotic, taking a Z Celebrate. Oof. That Z Celebrate raises all of Della's stats by 1 stage, and now Stored Power, that might be a game. In case you don't know, Stored Power increases the damage of this move based on how many stats you have boosted and how many stages you have them boosted. And that is the match, as Della finishes off Tapu Koko with Stored Power as well. The final score is 5-0 in Teal Platypus's favor. And oh my goodness, that was a very good match. I'm very impressed. There were a lot of good reads on both sides. As Reich did mention earlier in the match, they seem to have been trouble navigating those 50-50 sort of reads, where 50-50 chance that Spiritomb might use Sucker Punch or Pursuit, or Teal would switch up from one Pokemon to the other to take a certain hit, and other things like that. That was incredible. It goes to show you how even having your solid strategy ahead of time, while that does help, it often comes out to the turn-by-turn tactics and how well, not just that you execute your strategy, but how well your opponent anticipates and responds to that strategy. That, and also just the overall power of these, or should I say power? Yeah, the power of these like tanky sort of Pokemon. For example, Spiritomb, Nihilego, and Venusaur having that nice defensive core, not to mention Sandaconda being surprisingly tanky, not to mention using a combination of Stealth Rock and then Sand Spits, basically, to whittle away at Reich's team. I feel like that did make the difference towards the end of the battle, to help sort of nullify the effects of Leftovers and Roost and similar moves. Even so, that was very interesting, and I'm really glad we've gone ahead and had this match. And that's the end of the music track, actually, so I will be taking this opportunity to sign out. Tune in for more Week 5 battles of the Seafoam Isles Draft League. Thanks so much. Good night.
Distance has been